1-for-1, even with bad thought steals.
Yep. Alright, well, we're looking at Northshire Cleric with Power Word Shield. There is a Mind Control in Kibler's hand, so that's going to come in very handy later in the game.
Yeah, this Northshire is also going to be really handy. And wow, even a thought steal, like a really great start from Kibler.
Yeah, the weapon is very important for Thijs, though. I think the weapons are the most important cards to have in this matchup, to be able to take out early game to mid game minions with your weapons. And this Death Lord, oh wow.
Yeah, so Thijs, he played down the Armor Smith on turn 2, and usually you don't want to give your opponent extra draws, but I think what Thijs is saying that he really needs his Armor Smith to do that 1 extra damage, so his Death Spite can kill the Northshire Cleric.
Yeah, Kibler's got, like, if Kibler attacks the Armor Smith and draws off of this, then Thijs is forced to coin out Death Spite, which is not too bad, since Kibler can always follow up with something else and just benefit from the card draw. Alright, he doesn't go for the healing play. Instead, he picks up Shield Maiden and Shield Block. Wow, okay. Now that's a lot of
not
healing.
the best, I would say, but they are. One of them is a cycling card. One of them is it's essentially a 5/5. They are actually armor for the priest is actually somewhat valuable in this matchup because oftentimes when the warrior wins, it's because they get an Alexstrasza off and then pretty much burst the priest down when the priest can't heal and they can't put up any taunts. So
Yeah.
if the priest has armor, then Alexstrasza is going to be a lot worse.
Yeah, which actually, like, obviously that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for many more power cards than Shield Block and Shield Maiden. You'd like to find yourself a Dr. Boom, for instance, right? Or even a Sludge Belcher is very often considered better. But, you mentioned the Alexstrasza point, and this is the 1-2 punch of Warrior in control matchups. That's what they want to do. Get Alex and then OTK you with Grom Hellscream.
Yeah. Kibler is just playing this nice and slow. He can't really put the Death Lord on the field because if Thijs kills the Death Lord and something like a Rag comes out, then it's going to be impossible for Kibler to deal with. So he'd rather play the Death Lords at a later point in time when he can light bomb the threats away on the very next turn. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, if he didn't have a Sludge Belcher, I guess, in his hand, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Death Lord. And even with the Sludge Belcher, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Death Lord because the Sludge Belcher just trades too poorly against the Death Spite.
Yeah, especially with the Armor Smith on the board, he'll get another few points of armor on the Warrior. It's not that big of a deal, but he can wait one turn and get himself a Cabal Shadow Priest if he wants to later on. It's really not. I feel like both of these players can afford playing slowly, and Thijs has a Black Knight. That's good against Death Lord.
Yeah.
That's a crazy card here for Thijs.
Maybe even understated. The best quality about Black Knight in this matchup actually is that it has more health than it has attack.
Yeah.
So it'll survive those dark bombs.
Yeah, those dark bombs. Priest has gone shadow form. Oh man, so what I'm curious about though is, like, if you even play Black Knight right away on Death Lord, or if it's not necessarily worth it. I mean, what other value are you gonna get in that matchup, right? Like Sludge Belcher, one of them's already gone. What are the odds of you getting anything better than a Death Lord if it does show up?
Really like that attack, by the way. I've been watching a lot of streams, and a lot of players are beginning to play around Cabal Shadow Priest a lot more, just getting their minions that can be stolen by Cabal really weak.
To the point where they're just easy to kill.
Exactly.
Are we gonna see a Black Knight on the slime? The value. So here's one thing in this position is you've got to be considering the priest's lines of play. Holy Nova never gives value, so double Cruel Task is never an option. You need it later on to play into Grom Hellscream for sure, and you can get some decent mid-game up trades with those minions.
Oh yeah, that's true. So I'm thinking maybe a Sylvanas here just to make the board a lot more awkward.
Yeah, I think I like that. That or you Thought Steal and you wait a little bit. But yeah, I would tend to agree with you. Playing it.
Oh yeah, I like Thought Steal as well. It's also a very good play.
I think it's a pretty good turn to do it because you have no pressure coming up. Whereas,
wow.
Goodness.
So that's actually it's both really good for
really
now
bad.
because weapons are so good in this matchup, but it can also backfire if your opponent has a Harrison Jones, for example. And a lot of times that's a conundrum you face when you're playing a warrior against priest. Like you play your Harrison Jones as a vanilla 5/4, but then they Thought Steal weapon.
Yeah, and then you wonder what the hell has happened to me. Although I wonder if Thijs is playing those Harrison Jones in his deck, depending on what he pinned Kibler on, right? Because if you know Kibler is not necessarily going to bring weapon classes, how relevant are those?
So that's actually one of the best one of the best Death Lord minions that Tice could have gotten off of Death Lord, because it's not weak to Light Bomb.
Light Bomb, yeah, and it also
It,
draws you more cards if it does hit. It's even better.
exactly. It is weak to Cabal Shadow Priest, but we know from Kibler's hand that he doesn't have it.
You know, I really like the Fiery War Axe, and like in the Death Bite here in Kibler, that gives us so many options for the mid game.
So surprisingly, one of the key cards in Kibler's deck is anti-Keelbot against Warrior, because even though Warrior is not an aggressive matchup, it's just so good. This anti-Keelbot is so good when you want to heal up after an Alexstrasza. Like I said before, typically the Warrior wins by Alexstrasing you and bursting you down when you don't have a heal or a taunt. And the most common ways for a priest to heal after an Alexstrasza, besides their hero power, are things like Holy Fire and Light of the Naru. But the problem with those cards is that they're more situational, whereas after something like an Alexstrasza, you're always going to be able to play the anti-heal bot. It heals so much, plus it puts a body on the board, and it's not like you don't have to like Holy Fire your opponent's face, for example, which you do
Yeah,
have sometimes.
you do have to do that quite often if you can't kill the Alex or Shadow Word Deathed and Holy Fire Phase very frequently. So we'll have to see exactly what happens. But this Cruel Taskmaster, although it gives a card draw to Thijs, is going to put the Acolyte of Pain in Light Bomb range, and with that weapon, if at all, okay, well, never mind. Thijs is going to decide to just trade into the Shield Maiden with the weapon instead of waiting any longer.
So I want to point out that the priest has more armor than the warrior right now.
Yeah,
Just
that
wanna
sounds
make
like
a
it
note
makes
of that.
sense. That should be an achievement in Hearthstone. When you get a weapon, like kill 100 minions with weapons, and then you unlock yourself some custom emote. Well,
They need more achievements in Hearthstone. I feel that would be really great.
they
I'd
need
be
an actual achievement system. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like one of those players who like I have the personality where like if I'm a completionist basically, and
Okay.
I have to get all those achievements if they're available to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm telling you, you have to heal the enemy's phase for 1,000 points of health as a priest, would you do it? If I give you red healing hero power, that's all you get. That's your reward. Because like a custom color on your hero power.
Yeah, I would do it.
1,000. Oh man, you're a masochist. Like I would never do that. All right, so he's gonna get the Alexstrasza on curve at 9. Go to the priest. The armor's all gone now. The heal bot can be played and probably will have to be played. In fact, if I'd venture to say anything about this, otherwise, he's got to be afraid of the Grom, right? I think you just Shadow Word Death and anti-heal bot.
To be honest though, are you actually afraid of the Grom? Because not on the next turn, right? Because you actually have 2 armor. If you didn't do this play, you could actually be out of range of the Grom. It's really funny.
Yeah, you'd be just out of range.
You don't even actually technically have to heal yourself this turn. But
Right.
Yeah. Kibler just goes for the very safe play.
Well, that's probably gonna get mind controlled.
Yeah.
Just
Probably
just a
the-
guess here.
Yeah, probably actually the best minion to mind control, short of maybe a Sylvanas.
No, I think it is arguably. I mean, honestly, if Kibler finds a Shadow Word Death for his own Sylvanas, to steal the other Sylvanas, this could be terribly difficult for Thijs.
So actually,
Well,
I want to talk about the history of this deck, the priest deck,
yeah.
because it's really funny how the history of this deck and Thijs are involved. So this priest deck is a Chinese priest deck, and it originates from China. When I was in China with Thijs, I discovered this priest deck when I was preparing for the tournament, preparing to cast that tournament, and I showed Thijs, and he was like, "Wow, this is much worse than Control Priest." I was like, "Really?" So I gave the deck list to Savitz, and he played it on ladder, and that's why this deck became popular. So Thijs is very intimately familiar with this deck, and he knows
And-
pretty much every card in and out.
And he doesn't like it nearly as much as the usual list.
Exactly. So if Thijs loses this match, he'll have to eat his words, I think.
Well, I mean, it's not looking too bad for him in this position. I feel like it's okay. The Light Bomb could change things, but already one of them has been played.
So at this point, Kibler does slightly have to play around
The OTK,
Grom
right?
combo. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If he just
Well, I say
so-
OTK, but it's not really that OTK. It's more of a kill you over the game, then finish you off with Grom Hellscream.
yeah, exactly. Like if he just plays Sylvanas and heals up, he's actually his opponent would have exact lethal with that combo if he draws Grom on the next turn.
Yeah. Well, with Cruel Taskmaster, that's 14 damage straight up. So, that's a lot of damage right there.
So Shadow Boxer. This is the one card that that Kibler has changed in the original list. He took out Giblin Stalker and added in Shadow Boxer.
Yeah, I think the key reason for this is because the biggest, blind spot of priests in general is their lack of 2-drops. They have absolutely none. If they had a 2-drop, they'd probably be doing much better than they are right now because they tend to be like you mentioned Giblin Stalker. That's kind of the 2-drop that Chinese priest plays. Giblin Stalker, but Shadow Boxer is an alternative, but we still don't have this go-to 2-drop that every priest will agree is what you play. Like the equivalent of a priest, I guess, a 2-drop for like Injured Blade Master or something along those lines, or Dark Cultist. We still don't have that for priests.
Yeah, priests need Druid of the Flame for 2 mana. That'd be
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
That is exactly what they need.
Yeah, I'm really glad that Thijs decided not to play the Sylvanas because he would just get wrecked right here by the Light Bomb.
Yeah, the overextension would have cost him quite a bit.
Wow, Doomsayer from Thijs. This is kind of a Thijs special. He really likes Doomsayer in Warrior, and it's mainly teched in against Mech Mage actually. And
Yeah,
because
Mirror Entity.
yeah, this actually might be why Thijs is actually bringing this Warrior deck here. It's because of he knows Kibler will most likely bring Mech Mage against Mirror Entity. It's just like the best card you could possibly have.
Wow,
And
that one ping from Shadow Boxer. I think that's exactly what Kibler wanted here. That one armor removal. That was incredible.
Yeah, really amazing. I mean, it might matter, but probably not because there's so much pressure from Thijs right now against Kibler. He needs to draw a Shadow Word Death. Unfortunately, that's not it.
Actually, wait. Velen's Chosen plus Holy Nova. Does that do anything? Actually, it's enough to kill Dr. Boom with your Shadow Boxer.
Yeah, it's slightly inefficient though, to say the least.
You mean Dr. Boom? Is there ever a way to deal with Dr. Boom efficiently? I'm still looking for one, by the way.
You can
2 for 1. Like, the best answer is probably 2 for 1.
you can actually do this and Shrinkmeister the Dr. Boom, so the Dr. Boom doesn't automatically kill the Shadow Boxer.
Right.
And if our Jesus is in your favor, then there's a possibility that
What if Boombots kill the Shadow Boxer?
I mean,
What if this is... Yeah.
it's always possible, but
no, it didn't. Alright. I'm always disappointed when I see the green around the minion. So you know what? This Shrinkmeister would be... Whoa. Oh, he's playing around Grom Hellscream.
Okay.
Alright,
But-
so he's playing around the OTK, which I can't blame him for, but it would have given him such a board, actually, if he'd kept
Yeah,
the...
he was
or
playing
six.
around it in future turns, so he wants to heal up every single turn. I'm not sure
Yep.
if I agree with that though. Like you're gonna be pressured like every single turn from now on, so it's actually gonna be pretty frightening for you.
Yeah, either way, the moment the warrior gets the initiative, that 2 health doesn't matter. As soon as you put down a minion, the only minion that would help in this position would be Sludge Belcher, I guess. That's the only thing that makes this heal justifiable over just keeping your 4-6 alive, but Kibler thinks otherwise. He's got a Death Bite. That doesn't accomplish much.
Yeah, the issue with Deathbite here is do you actually attack face or attack Sylvanas? So if
Yeah,
he goes for
face.
face now, then Sludge Belcher kind of punishes him. Because he
By the
won't be-
light!
he won't be able to kill Sylvanas on the next turn.
Alright, so let's see what Thijs does here. He's got a Shield Slam at the ready if he wants to kill that Pilot Shredder at all.
Thijs has seen both light bombs, so I don't think he's too afraid of committing to the board or over committing to the board at this point.
Yeah,
so-
I don't think so either. I mean, Akinai's Soul Priest Circle is just not a thing here.
Yeah, it's not in this deck.
Exactly. Well, We shall see what Shield Slam brings. So he attacked face to avoid getting stuck behind a two. Oh wow, well that's a horrible minion. But he's gonna keep the Cruel Taskmaster for later use. I mean that Death's Bite is gonna kill the owl anyway, so it doesn't really matter for Thijs.
Yeah, he had to kill that Pilot Shredder, or the trade would have been too good for the Pilot Shredder into Shield Maiden, and then Death's Bite would pretty much clear the board.
Yep. I think Kibler is on his last rope, where Thijs just needs that one Grom, is the one top deck that rules them all, and that would just take the game right away. But Thijs can't seem to dig fast enough to find it.
Yeah, he can't have too many cards in his deck, and unfortunately, like most of the cards in his hand are pretty much unplayable.
Yeah, most of them are gonna do nothing.
You're probably not gonna get too much value from Brawl. Execute is not too good here. Doomsayer and Armorsmith, you'll probably never be able to play because for Armorsmith you're afraid of a second Cabal Shadow Priest, and for Doomsayer, I mean, you're kind of I
don't
guess
mind
you could say you're
Armorsmith, but I mind the other ones. Yeah. Like Armorsmith, I can somewhat agree with playing, but the Brawl and Doomsayer. Oh wow, is that useful at all? Actually, it might just be.
It just you mainly would play it just to put more minions on the board, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't. The thing is, he can't really afford to do. Oh wow.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter much in this case because he's already, going to be mana saturated, but it could have mattered.
I might have liked actually healing the what's it called? Healing the Shield
the
Maiden.
Shredder, the Shield Maiden to steal the health and then to draw the card.
Yep.
That's a good game.
Yeah, that's lethal. And really unfortunate for Kibler. Thijs played that really well. He put enough pressure on the board every single turn to bait out the light bombs. And after Kibler uses light bombs, he pretty much didn't have anything else. He
decks. It's so because there is no one freeze mage playstyle, right? You look at Handlock, for instance. At every turn, there are multiple lines of play, but only one of them is correct. Whereas I feel in freeze mage, there are multiple lines of play, but multiple lines of play are correct because you're playing with your entire deck in mind, as opposed to just the cards that you have on hand. I really do like that deck for that.
Yep. Yeah, it's just putting on as much power as possible on the board, and I think at this point, Kibler, he probably knows that this is not Mech Mage, especially with the Blood Mage Shadows coming on the board.
Yeah, I think that's a complete. That just tells you what it is. Well, Death Lord, if that brings out an Alexstrasza, that's always a big problem for the mage. Whenever that pops out of menu, you don't want to see early. And this is one of the things that I'm always worried about when I play Freeze Mage against Priest who plays Death Lord, is if that brings out Alex, I am done for. I have no way to kill him.
Yeah. We already see like some of the really important cards in Thijs' hand right now against Priest, and they are Doomsayer, because Priest, especially this list, it has no way to deal with Doomsayer, and also Emperor Thorazin, which will be able to reduce all these cards so that like it's possible to get really huge Antonidas turns with like Frost Nova, Frost Bolt, Ice Lance.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest. That's the thing is you want to time it perfectly, right? You want to make sure that when you end up playing the Emperor, it's gonna get you at least 2 damage spells lower in cost at the very least, and possibly the Ice Lances. Those are very important for 0 mana. Those are the bread and butter of your damage.
Yeah, so Thijs has like one part of the combo of Doomsayer, but he doesn't have the other part, which is either a Frost Nova or any kind of freeze in his deck. So he just throws both of them on the boards, and this can go really well or really poorly for Kibler, depending on if Kibler can clear the board. Let's see if he can. So 4-2, I believe that's just barely not enough damage to do so, even with the Holy Nova. So Kibler will probably have to go for a Thought Steal here, unfortunately, and everything on this board will just die, giving Thijs pretty much all the options and giving him a minion as well.
Yeah, the problem with this is that if Alexstrasza comes out again, that's always a big issue. If there's a Shadow Word Death to counter it, then what do you do?
Yeah, like if Alexstrasza comes down, sure, the Alexstrasza effect doesn't come on the field.
Uh-oh.
Wow, Wow, that's actually really huge. He gets his own Alexstrasza, and it might be, it's just another form of healing into the game. The problem is, for Freeze Mage, bursting down Alexstrasza, bursting down 15 points of health that the Alexstrasza will give you, oftentimes that's not too much of an issue. They do have the Frost Balls, the Ice Lance.
Oh, and the Alex
Oh!
comes out of the Death Lord, and Thijs is just face palming the worst outcome. Then again, we have to point out, we had seen 2 Mad Scientists, 1 Acolyte of Pain, the Emperor Thorzen, and we'd already seen the 2 Doomsayers, so a lot of his minions were already, seen in his hand. So the only outs that were left in there, maybe a Loot Hoarder, perhaps another Acolyte of Pain, and Archmage Antonidas, so effectively 3 minions at the very most.
Okay, so
Oh,
yeah,
man.
like if Archmage Antonidas came out, it would have been game over. But yeah, this is
Yeah.
probably like, it's actually not too bad because Kibler doesn't have a Shadow Word Death, surprisingly, so he can't actually deal with the Alexstrasza. It's probably going to go for 8 to face. That being
Yeah,
said, this Ice Barrier will actually become fairly relevant. It's kind of funny that way.
It's going to mitigate the minion you just put out. Kibler is usually happy to get this Alex out, but this is a circumstance where I think this may be the only circumstance where you're unhappy to see it because you have no real answer.
Yeah, you
No, man.
might actually just have to play Sledge Belcher here.
Do you just
Really
trade into
funny.
Mad Scientist then Belcher? How do you like, trade into Mad Scientist then go Deathlord Cultist?
The issue I have with Deathlord is you might just give your opponent the Antonidas.
The
now.
Antonidas, the only card left. Okay, yeah, never mind. You can't do
Well,
that. Not without.
In
a
most
board
typical
wipe.
freeze lists, the minions left in the deck are the Loot Hoarder, which he just drew.
Yeah.
Did he play an Acolyte yet?
He has 1 Acolyte in hand. He hasn't played another one, so that
Okay,
might be the second card
So
left.
Loot Hoarder, Acolyte, Archmage, Antonidas, and most lists they run 1 heal bot these days.
Okay, yeah. That's like a flex card that you have in Freeze Mage, so
Yeah.
a lot of people end up swapping it in and out. But interestingly enough, if there was a Light Bomb in Kibler's hand, like Shadow Word Death or Light Bomb would solve the problem.
Yeah, it's actually really unlucky for Kibler that he has these 4 cards in his deck that deals with them, but out of like the 8 cards he has in his hand, none of them are Light Bomb or Shadow Word Death, and wow, he still doesn't draw it.
This is really unfortunate for Kibler. I think the play is to play Northshire, you heal the Mad Scientist, and then you see what you find, because you need to draw that deck. Maybe you go for the Nova? I don't know.
It might be getting to the point where Kibler has to do desperation plays, like you were saying.
Yeah, I just feel like, at this point, there's very little you can do. I guess Deathlord into Coin Nova, but that's...
Deathlord can go so poorly here.
Yeah, it's so terrible. It's gotten even worse now that the Loot Hoarders come out. Oh, man.
So I would say that actually at this point, because we assessed like the minions in Thijs' deck, it's probably going to be something like a 1 and 4 for Archmage Antonidas to come out of the Deathlord.
Possibly even better than that, yeah. Oh, man. Well, good luck, Kibler. You will need it. So, Flame Strike into trade. Actually, do you even Flame Strike or just trade your entire board away? Because you do get the card draw, which means the Emperor Thorson gets even better.
Yeah, I like trading away the Mad Scientist first to get the secret out, then trading away the Loot Hoarder, then see what you draw, maybe reconsider, then trading away your Alexstrasza.
Yeah, so the secret on board is Ice Block. The Ice Bear is, shining green, so
Yeah.
that's a guaranteed block.
You could even consider trading in the Alexstrasza before the Loot Hoarder, maybe to, I don't know, give your chances of getting Antonidas more. And it's actually
He has
second
2
Loot Hoarder.
Hoarders. All right.
So yeah, that's usually the flex spot. If usually when you play 2 Loot Hoarders, that means you don't play anti-kill bot.
Anti-kill bot, yep.
Yes.
Definitely not.
So
well,
it's usually
maybe,
the biggest variation between Freeze Mage lists these days is that one spot where you either play a second Loot Hoarder, an Explosive Sheep, or an anti-kill bot.
Man, I can't believe Thijs has gotten away with getting that Alex off the Death Lord. This is a 1 in 1,000 chances. Like, this is incredible because usually you get punished so severely for getting it. It's the one thing you'd never want to see come out. And might that be lethal?
I don't think it's possible it's lethal just because of like the
The ice
secret's either
barrier,
an
yeah.
ice barrier or an ice block.
No,
So
it is
either
ice
way,
barrier,
yeah, you're not gonna have enough. So Arcade Intellect drawing more cards into Emperor Thorzain looks pretty insane at this moment.
yeah. I'm gonna have to say that's probably gonna be a good game scenario at that point. The Kibler needs to find nothing but ice, like Light Bomb. I can't even think of another card that he wants to see here. How has he drawn so poorly? Oh wow, Kibler, we
I honest,
apologize.
yeah, I honestly cannot believe this at this moment. This is
Yeah, this should not be going like after the Death Lord got Alex out. I expected this game to go to Kibler's very simply, but well,
yeah. You even saw the reaction in Thijs' face. He was like, "Oh no, I got Alex Straza from this Death Lord. This is
yeah,
so
this is the
horrible for
worst.
me."
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, Alex Straza goes, "Well, I bring life, and and she just shreks away at Kibler's face for a few
Yeah.
turns.
Yeah, Thijs' reaction was like very fair. Like usually when Alex Straza comes out, it's actually bad because you won't be able to use the Alex Straza to deal 15 attack to your
Yeah.
opponent, deal 15 points of damage directly to your opponent's face.
Well, she dealt like what 24 now, like total
Yeah.
damage. Like if you include the Death Lord that died from it, that's a much better Alex than you get from your hand. For the face, for the face, for the face. Well, that's game. Wow, incredible here, Kibler. I mean, I don't know if if Thijs realizes how lucky he got. It doesn't work, right? The way I want it to.
It's just inferior to Shades overall.
Yeah, that's how it feels when I played it. I've played around with it quite a bit because I feel like it's so good against aggro that it increases your matchup tremendously. But the problem is the downside of playing versus mid-range or control just lowers your win rate drastically as a result of playing it.
Yeah, so the first turn play, Kibler could have innervated out a Druid of the Flame, and he didn't because he knew Thijs was more likely than not to be a handlock player. So against Zoo, of course you innervate out the Druid of the Flame, but this is certainly the correct decision in holding the Flame as Druid of the Flame as much as possible. I want to say that Kibler's hand is actually really good at this point.
Yeah, this
play,
Keeper of the Grove with the...
Yeah, not only the Keeper, but I feel like Azure Drake is actually one of the most important cards against handlock. You pretty much want to be cycling all the time in order to keep up with the Warlock hero power.
Yeah, well, there's going to be a Mountain Giant coming out next turn, or a Twilight Drake. I suspect Mountain just because there's less answers to an 8/8 in the Druid's deck than there are to silenceable Twilight Drake.
Yeah,
we'll have to see what Thijs decides to do.
Also, the fact that if you Twilight Drake and your opponent does have a Keeper, then the Druid of the Flame trades into the Twilight Drake.
Yeah. Well, we see the Mountain Giant here. You know, I wonder how often a 5/2 is going to be seen out of that Mountain Druid of the Flame. I've played it against Priest as a 5/2 early in the game, and it's actually very effective. Since most players are cutting out Holy Smites nowadays, you see very few of those, so it tends to be most effective in those circumstances. And I see a Blackwing Technician in Kibler's deck. Oh my goodness, has he really brought dragons to this tournament?
Oh, maybe a week too early, possibly. But wow, this might just be his dragon druid and it tops out at like Ysera, Deathwing, Alex Straza. Just really exciting, really great deck to watch.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't backfire too much because Thijs' board is looking grandiose. Oh man, there's no BGH right now for Kibler.
Yeah, just peeling off some of that armor, making sure this druid can't shield slam down these giants, of course.
The Sunfree Protector is an especially interesting card here. I'm liking it. It's going to allow him to contest, well, not contest, but stop some of the beatdown from that 8/8, theoretically.
Yeah. It's also indicative of a dragon deck.
Yeah,
because if
very
you're playing
indicative.
these big dragons, like you do feel like you have to taunt them up in order to survive.
Yeah, I think what's going to end up happening though is that Kibler is going to be forced to innervate out Defender of Argus to trade into the. Oh man, this is. Yeah, maybe you can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So this is it's okay, but Yeah, pretty much Druid is going to be on the back foot all the time, and there's an 8 going to be doing 8 damage to the face every single turn.
Yeah, and this is gonna just be a matter of time before Thijs finds enough damage to go through.
Thijs is, I have to say that Thijs is drawn really well here, getting both his Twilight Drakes and his Mountain Giant. 3 out of the 4 big threats that you can get in the early stages of the game.
Yeah, so if there's a Savage Roar in Kibler's deck, though, this could be a situation where he's able to get the win because of the Force of Nature Roar, if at all. I'm curious to know if there's a possibility of that. I mean, Hellfire Dark Bomb is going to wipe out a portion of the board, but not everything.
Pretty much, I have to say that
Yeah.
Kibler actually needs the taunt right now.
Right? Yeah, he needs to taunt or it's going to be game over, in effect.
Yeah.
I don't see any way out of that.
Yeah, 2 Dark Bombs in Thijs' hand, plus the Mountain Giant that's almost certainly going to survive his turn.
Yeah.
And more likely than not, Kibler will actually be taking 2 damage, or 4 damage to the face by attacking into the Twilight Drake. Yeah, he's going to take 4 to the face. So he actually... Oh,
Actually, how do you like Blackwing Tech
Okay.
into Innervate Sunfury instead? Yeah, okay, that
I
way
do
you don't
like
take
that.
the damage.
I do like that, especially because I can see both players' hands, and I can see that if he didn't do this play, he would have just died.
The question is whether or not he's still dead, because you look at Hellfire, right? You attack him with the 3-5, the 2-1, you Hellfire, then you Dark Bomb the 2-4, you go face for 8. The opponent's on 2 health, so I guess you're pretty close to winning.
Yeah, you're actually 1 damage on the Keeper away from winning the game.
Yeah, from winning the game, exactly. If you had a coil, you'd win. Like, Immortal Coil would be the 1 mana, 1 damage that Thijs needs to seal it. Alright, he's gonna go for it.
Seems good. At this point, I feel like you can just play around Force of Nature Savage Roar, or
Yeah.
Innervate Force of Nature Savage Roar, and you can pretty much win.
So, I mean, there's nothing that Kibler can find, right? There's literally nothing.
Yeah, just drawing, like, if that were in an Ancient of Lore, perhaps drawing Innervate into, I don't know,
Yeah.
into BGH, but yeah, he has to go for this play just to survive. And Thijs will be taking this series with either a dark, pretty much just a Dark Bomb finish will pretty much end it. And we'll see Thijs go up 3-0 against Kibler. Unfortunately for Kibler, that means he'll be dropping down with a 2-3 record, and Thijs will be going up to, I believe, a 3-4 record.
3-4 record, yeah. Thijs will be moving on to